Within just a few hours, Colorado's high country turned into one of the most hazardous places to travel in the entire United States. A fierce winter system barreled across the Rockies, dumping anywhere from half a foot to nearly 30 inches of snow. Wind gusts blasted past 60 miles an hour, twisting major highways into blinding whiteout tunnels. Interstate 70, one of the busiest routes cutting through the mountains, slipped into total chaos. Multiple accidents blocked traffic, cars spun out, and growing avalanche risks forced officials to shut the road down again and again. Hundreds of snowplows and emergency teams rushed out, but the visibility dropped so fast that even seasoned mountain drivers were fighting to keep their vehicles on the pavement. This wasn't the kind of storm that simply slows Colorado down. This was the kind of storm that isolates entire communities, shutting them off from the rest of the world. Tonight, we're taking a closer look at how this system developed, why conditions went downhill so quickly, and what it all means for anyone planning to travel as we move deeper into winter. As the storm pushed farther into Colorado's high country, roads along the main mountain passes went from challenging to nearly impossible in almost no time. Heavy bands of snow swept across the higher elevations west of Denver, unloading anywhere from 6 inches to more than 2 feet of fresh accumulation in just a few short hours. Over the mountain passes, wind gusts blasting up to 50 or even 60 miles per hour created almost complete whiteout conditions. Drivers could barely tell where the road ended and the landscape began. Interstate 70, one of Colorado's most important east-west highways, became the center of the storm's impact. What started as just a wet roadway early in the morning quickly froze into a layer of packed snow and ice, turning the interstate into a slick and unpredictable stretch of pavement. Many drivers said visibility dropped to just a few yards as blowing snow covered entire lanes. Some had no choice but to pull over on narrow shoulders while snowplows and emergency crews tried to navigate around stranded cars. The northern and central mountains took the hardest hit, with a winter storm warning staying in effect all day. Rabbit Ears Pass became one of the biggest trouble spots, with forecasters calling for as much as 30 inches of snow by nightfall. Meanwhile, Rocky Mountain National Park saw snow piling up fast, and traction laws stayed firmly in place for anyone attempting to travel. By mid-morning, it was clear this wasn't just another winter event. This was a powerful mountain storm disrupting travel all across the Rockies. As the storm continued to intensify, conditions along Colorado's main travel routes became even more unpredictable. Interstate 70, already overwhelmed by heavy snowfall, saw multiple crashes that forced both westbound and eastbound closures near Georgetown. One of the collisions involved a semi-truck, and emergency crews had to unload the trailer before it could even be moved. That single incident caused long delays and left hundreds of drivers stuck in place. Farther out west, another major crash near Walcott shut down the eastbound lanes completely, forcing drivers onto Highway 6 while plows and first responders battled heavier snow and fast-changing visibility. Down in the southern mountains, Red Mountain Pass was fully closed as conditions kept getting worse. Avalanche crews were out non-stop, checking slope stability while wind-driven snow piled up across exposed ridges. Overnight, Loveland Pass had to be shut down too. The combination of deep snow and rising avalanche danger made travel flat-out impossible. With those closures in place, several of Colorado's most important east-west routes were essentially cut off, leaving travelers stuck and blocking freight from crossing the Continental Divide. At the same time, roads inside Rocky Mountain National Park turned slick and dangerous as packed snow and ice took over. Traction laws stayed fully enforced, and even with crews plowing around the clock, quick bursts of snowfall could undo hours of clearing in just minutes. By midday, it was obvious the region was dealing with a full-on transportation emergency. Closures kept expanding just as fast as the storm intensified. As conditions continued to deteriorate across Colorado's high country, state agencies launched a large-scale emergency response to keep key corridors open. The Colorado Department of Transportation sent hundreds of plows into the northern and central mountains, operating in non-stop rotations as the snowfall picked up. Crews reported that fresh snow and blowing drifts were covering cleared lanes in under 10 minutes, forcing them to circle back again and again. Avalanche teams were deployed along the most vulnerable slopes, especially around Loveland Pass, Berthoud Pass, and the upper sections of Red Mountain Pass. Using real-time data, specialists monitored wind loading, snowpack strength, and temperature swings, any of which could trigger a sudden slide. When conditions started hitting critical levels, highway crews had no choice but to trigger controlled avalanches to stop bigger, more dangerous slides from happening on their own. But even for emergency teams, getting anywhere was a struggle. Visibility dropped to almost nothing, the shoulders were too narrow to pull over safely, and the roads were coated with ice. Firefighters, medics, and tow truck operators found themselves inching forward, trying to reach stranded drivers. Some responders said the snow was blowing so hard that it turned the entire road into a white screen. They'd have to stop completely and wait for even a few seconds of visibility before moving again. Still, officials stressed the importance of keeping at least one lane open on major highways so ambulances, supply trucks, and essential travelers could get through. With every hour that passed, the storm pushed Colorado's winter response teams to their limit, turning the situation into a race against worsening conditions. Meanwhile, thousands of travelers got caught in the rapidly deteriorating weather. People heading towards ski spots like Breckenridge, Vail, and Winter Park said visibility dropped in an instant. Snow whipped across the pavement in thick, swirling waves. Drivers described that unsettling moment when all the lane lines disappeared, and the only thing they could follow was the faint flash of hazard lights from the car ahead. Families trying to reach mountain resorts quickly realized their holiday trips had turned into something more like survival mode. Cars without all-wheel drive or proper snow tires slid on the steeper parts of the highway, causing long lines of stalled traffic. Many motorists pulled off near Silverthorne and Frisco, admitting the storm was stronger than anything they dealt with before. And while a lot of skiers chose to turn back, some still pushed forward, hoping for fresh powder despite the obvious risks. Resort staff urged visitors to be careful, reminding them that avalanche danger, tree wells, and hidden obstacles all increase dramatically during heavy snowfall with strong winds. Local mountain communities were dealing with their own issues too. Grocery stores saw shelves emptying fast as delivery trucks struggled to make it through the storm. Power kept dipping on and off in exposed neighborhoods as strong winds shoved heavy snow into the utility lines. In a few spots, volunteer groups stepped in to help stranded drivers, guiding them to community centers where they could warm up and stay safe for a while. By the afternoon, it was obvious the storm was causing far more than just road closures. It had turned into a statewide disruption, messing with daily routines, travel plans, and the safety of anyone heading into the high country. Music fades in. While the mountains were getting slammed by one of the strongest winter storms of the season, the communities along Colorado's Front Range were living a totally different reality. In Denver, Boulder, and the surrounding metro areas, the roads were mostly dry. Temperatures were sitting in the mid to upper 40s, nowhere close to the icy chaos happening just a short drive to the west. A few light rain showers and quick flurries were the only hints that a major mountain storm was brewing on the other side of the foothills. This dramatic contrast, clear skies on the plains and a full-on winter emergency in the mountains, showed just how extreme Colorado's weather can be. Meteorologists pointed to the sharp changes in terrain, wind flow, and moisture that allowed the storm to unload nearly all of its power above 8,000 feet, leaving lower elevations mostly untouched. Farther north, parts of Larimer and Weld counties saw occasional bursts of snow, but totals were nothing compared to the mountain numbers. On the eastern plains, conditions shifted constantly, with thin bands of light snow sweeping across open fields throughout the day. For many folks along the Front Range, the storm felt far away, something happening up there in the mountains. But transportation officials warned that this mindset could be dangerous. Drivers leaving clear roads near Denver could run into whiteout conditions, icy pavement, and sudden closures in just half an hour of heading west. It was a reminder that in Colorado, winter doesn't just change day by day. Sometimes it changes mile by mile. As the storm rolled into the afternoon and evening, the pressure on the state's infrastructure only got worse. Utility crews working in the mountains reported multiple outages caused by thick, wind-packed snow weighing down power lines. Along exposed ridges near Summit and Clear Creek counties, strong gusts carved massive drifts that blocked access roads and slowed down repair teams. Some neighborhoods dealt with lights flickering for hours as conditions made it nearly impossible for crews to climb icy poles and restore power safely. Water systems and local transportation networks were pushed to their limits. Snow and slushy ice clogged storm drains, sending freezing runoff across busy intersections. Crews warned that once temperatures dipped overnight, those wet patches could turn into black ice, the kind of hazard that catches both drivers and pedestrians off guard. Out on the highways, trucks hauling essential goods were stuck in long delays, slowing deliveries to mountain towns. Gas stations in places like Frisco and Leadville saw lines stretching out onto the street as people filled up, worried that road closures might grow. Grocery stores struggled to keep shelves stocked because many semis were trapped behind wrecks, closures, or avalanche control operations. Emergency officials noted that the situation could change at any moment. Every extra inch of snow and every new burst of wind raised the threat of avalanches, road failures, and longer-lasting power outages. Communities were encouraged to be ready in case the storm strengthened before conditions got better. As the system slowly moved away from Colorado's high country, the damage became clear. Key mountain routes were still partly blocked. Avalanche danger stayed high, and emergency crews kept working through pockets of whiteout and icy slopes, trying to reopen roads. Several towns spent the night dealing with dark homes, halted supply lines, and long hours ahead for power and transportation teams scrambling to repair damaged equipment. Meteorologists say this storm will likely be remembered as the first major test of Colorado's winter, a sharp reminder of how fast conditions can shift from manageable to dangerous above 8,000 feet. And with stronger storms expected in the coming weeks, officials urged residents and travelers to stay alert, track updates, and respect how unpredictable mountain weather can be. For anyone living in or traveling through the Rockies, the message is simple. Being prepared isn't optional, it's necessary. Thanks for watching. If this update helped you out, go ahead and like the video, share it with anyone who follows extreme weather, and subscribe for more coverage of major winter storms across the country. Stay informed and stay safe out there.